It'll take a few minutes for that to heat up. You do not want to use steam when you're pressing these on. The paper, you'll wrinkle up the paper, and you don't need steam on this part. So we're going to we'll get him done. We have the body. It says here that, and the brown is the butterfly body, so that can go like that. And so what I'll do is, after I get all the pieces cut out, I put them on the designated wool. It looks like the texture is the upper wing, so I'm going to put that on there. And then this one is on the lower wing, so I'm going to set that like that. So those are ready to be pressed down. Now the 6 is, we've got this piece here, which is going to be the large wing, leaf, and I'm going to kind of try and get it in there so that I can, if you look at the, where did I do with the picture? Right here. So you've got some different colors of leaves. So I can go use this green and this green for some of these leaves. So if you can see that this is going to have to be on here, there's 2 of those. So I've got to make sure that when I do this, I have enough for both of them. So I'm probably not going to even press this down until I get the other one traced, so that I know that I have room in here. So then this is a leaf I can put him right here. This white C is for the inside of his ear, and I'm going to put that like that. So right now, and then also the bunny tail, which is right here. So your wool may not be exactly like what the picture is. Just go by what they're telling you on this sheet. So this can go, this is the bunny tail, and that can go right there like that. So I'm going to wait to press this one, and I'm going to wait to press this one too, because I have other leaves that are going to go on there. But I know that my rabbit is pretty well complete. I have all the pieces that I need. So let's take this over. I'm going to go over to the ironing, and I will lift this up. And I'm going to place him on here like this, and just getting, let's go with this one, like that. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And I'll move down here, and I just kind of count 1, 2, 3. Now, I also like to turn it over. And there I have, he's on there. So let's just get the other couple pieces. Go over here, and you would do this, and this is the same thing you would do for every piece that's on there. And you want to, I want to hold it on there longer. Don't. You don't need to. iron just told me that the steam is ready, but I'm not going to use steam. Okay. So we have all those pieces are ready to go. When you're cutting, first of all, I want to get rid of the ear, and I'll get rid of this one over here. Okay. So when you're cutting, you don't want to do short like this. You want long. You want to use the length of your scissor and never clip it, never close it all the way. When I get down to the tip, I open it back up, and I'm going to move my scissor up, and I am going to move my fabric with the scissor. I don't move the scissor around the fabric, if that makes sense. When you do it like that, you will get a much smoother shape. And don't worry about if you're not right on that line. Nobody is going to know that you aren't right on that line. So I'm just going around the rabbit. Do you see how I'm opening? I'm coming to almost a close of that full scissor, then I'm opening them back up, moving it down to the last that I cut, and then I'm just starting to take the fabric, but I never fully close that scissor. I learned how to cut like this years ago. We did something called decoupage, and you would take tiny little paper pieces and cut them out, and you would make scenes with them, and then you would shellac that onto onto wood and different things. And so that was how I was taught how to cut, and how you get such a nice smooth edge. It's not jig-jaggy. And so if you learn how to use your scissor that way, you will get a much nicer edge on your pieces. So now let's see, let's go ahead and we can cut the ear out. That would be that he'll go right here, right in there, like that. And this is the body of the butterfly. See how I turned that when I got down to that curved edge? I didn't move the scissor around that edge. I turned the fabric pretty much so around that edge. And that's what gives me that nice smooth cut. And the same thing here. I'm moving the fabric, not the scissor. So this would be the butterfly. He would go, let's see how he goes like this. And then that would lay right up on top of there, because remember we added some soft fuse to go so that we can overlap and do some stitching. So to go like that, basically. And then we have another foot that's right here. And I try to start cutting on a straight edge instead of a curve. And then that's his foot. And that will go right like that on there. So that's how you're going to cut out, and you're going to continue doing that throughout all the pieces, following, you know, your color chart and everything. So once I get that on there, I would put the rabbit down. I would lay him on, because remember he's reversed, so we're going to go to the other sheet. He will sit right here like this. Oh, I didn't cut out his other ear. So I'll cut that ear out. And that would go like right like that. And if I had that Fusamat, I can go ahead and I can fuse this right down, and all the pieces will be right where they need to be. And he would go in right like that. And then I would put heat on there and fuse him. And now I have got him all fused, ready to go onto the other items that we're going to do. Same thing as with the butterfly. I can lay the butterfly on here like this, like that, and like that. I would then fuse it. Now what I like to use also are tweezers, because they really help me get the piece in the shape where I want it. And then I can take and just touch an iron, and that will fuse that down. Then I have my butterfly done. Then I can come in here and start adding the leaves. Like this leaf right here actually will go on this side right here. And the same thing as with the other one. It'll be reversed over, and it's going to go right there. So your pressing mat, a Fusamat is a great thing, because you can see right through it. I can put this underneath it, see right through it, and press right on top of the Fusamat. And you've got that. Once you've got it all cut out, then I'm going to give you a little on how to do the blanket stitch, and I can show you right on the edge, because you're going to fuse everything together, and then you're going to start doing your blanket stitch. So on here, if you look, I've done a blanket stitch around everything, on even these little tiny pieces. I have done a blanket stitch on all of them. I can get in there and do tiny little stitches using the blanket stitch to do it. What you're going to use, the needles that I like to use, they are a tapestry needle. And I use on number 12 weight thread, so some of you have bought the thread kits. This is Valdani thread. It's a 12 weight thread, and it is a really nice thread. I prefer the 12 weight. The pattern calls for a 12 weight. Some people, you can use floss, probably 2 strands of floss. You can use number 8 pearl cotton. It all depends on the look that you're wanting. On these, I've used the 12 weight all the way through. So let me show you how I do the blanket stitch, because the blanket stitch, whether it's along this outer edge, if you look here, there's the blanket stitch all the way around the outer edge, and that's what holds your two pieces together on the back. So when I thread a needle, I put the thread over the top of the needle, and then I hold that thread between my finger and kind of pop my needle out and just barely allow that thread to show, and I saw the eye of the needle over the thread. So let me show you that again. I just lay it over the top, bring it down, and hold it in between my fingers. I'm squeezing because I want to depress that thread. And I kind of pop, and then I take the eye of the needle and I lay it right over the top of that thread, and I just saw the needle back and forth, and it'll go right into the eye. Another way that I've seen people thread their needle is they'll hold it in their hand. Now, I've never been able to do it really well this way. And they kind of push up, and it's right there. So let me show you that again. You hold the thread in your fingers, between your fingers, lay the eye of the needle onto that thread, and kind of saw up, back and forth. And do you see how it's right there? And I can just grab that, and it's right there. So whichever way works for you. You know, I am not a thread licker. I don't like my thread to be wet, but you could also probably do it and just kind of slide that right on, and you've got it in there. The eye of this needle on a tapestry needle is a good sized eye, so you're able to get that thread right in there. So once you do that, you're going to pull it down, and I am going to do what they call, in the sewing world, we call this a surgical knot. In surgery, I was talking to a doctor. Eileen and I actually was talking, and that we were showing him this. He did a knot, and we go, "Oh, that's a surgical knot." He said, "No, that's a tailor's knot." And so we borrowed the knots. So you're going to take and you're going to put your thread in a loop. I'm going to take the one end, and I'm going to put my needle over the top of that, and I'm holding it. And then I'm going to wrap it twice, and I'm going to take and slide those wraps all the way down, and I now have a knot. I like to cut that knot just a little bit off. I don't like a lot of end on it. So you can work counterclockwise, you can work clockwise. It's whatever works for you. But what I'm going to do now, this is what I would use when I'm doing the blanket stitch around the pieces. But I am not going to, when I'm doing the outer edge, I don't want a knot. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to go into the back about an inch down, and I'm going to bring my needle up between the two layers. And then I'm going to pull that up and leaving about a half an inch to an inch, around like that. Then I'll turn this over. Now I'm going to go down about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to go straight in and I'm going to bring it up and I'll wrap that thread around my needle. And I'm kind of holding, I like to hold because you want to tension your thread some. So there I have, my thread is on the right hand side of this stitch here. I am then going to go and I'm going to move over. Now I can move over this way, or I can move over this way. Whatever is comfortable for you. Let's just go this way just for right now. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to catch that thread, and I'm kind of holding that thread, and I'm going to come straight up. And I'm going to take over, and I'm going to move over, and I'm kind of eyeing it, and I'm about 1/4 of an inch. My needle is coming over the top of the thread. And I'll pull it down. Now I don't want to pull this back. Do you see how that's pulled back and it's kind of pulling back to the right? I want it just to lay nice and smooth on top of there. Do you see how that's laying nicely? I'm holding my thread with my thumb so that I can keep that tension. So just like a sewing machine, you want to keep some tension on that. And then I can pull it up, bring it down, and hold it. And you're just going to keep working around this piece just like that. I'm eyeing it. Some people will they've said that they'll put a mark on their finger, like this would be the first mark, the second mark, and then they can line up. I pretty well can eye it. You know, what works for you, do. There's no right or wrong to this. So that's that. That's the blanket stitch. That's all there is to it. Making sure that your tail is coming down and you're holding that tail and then going in. And making sure that I'm going straight in, not angling up, because then I don't catch sometimes that back. So go straight in and then catch that thread. Making sure that you keep that tension nice. And then bring the thread down. And pull it up. And you're going to do that all the way around this. Now, when I was working on these pieces, it's the exact same thing that you're doing. You are doing the exact same thing that you're doing around here. That is your blanket stitch. On this one, there was nothing, it was all blanket. Like I said, on some of these, I did like a stem stitch, and maybe, hopefully we can do another video where I can show you some of the different stitches that we would use, that we can use. And so, but if you can get your tracing done, and you can get it adhered to your back, and do your buttonhole, by that time we'll hopefully come back and I'll go through some of the embroidery stitches that you might use. So, you know, this is a fun project. Enjoy yourself. Just relax. There's not nothing right or wrong. Sometimes I've had to fudge, especially on this one. I did not cut deep enough for these pieces to sit over, and so I just had to finagle it and get it in there to work. And so, don't be such a perfectionist, because it will end up looking beautifully. So with that, if you have any questions, you're welcome to call the store. I'm here usually Wednesday through Saturday, and I would be glad to answer any questions that you have. So thank you for joining me, and we will see you the next time that we talk about some of these other stitches. Goodbye.